not on.
What time is it supposed to start?
I don't know. I don't know. Maybe 9 o'clock, if not now. Okay, so leave it now like this. And all I would do is push one of these buttons and it'll go back on. How are you gonna go to the thing? Should I drop you off and somebody drive you back?
Yeah.
It's no wonder how nice that it is in this dog. 14 milligrams of 24 gold. Well, Joe, you are, let's say, like a womanizer. You're with a different woman every week. So, is this something that happens to you when you fly with animals, when you take them to your resorts and stuff? Greg, I divorced her if she wanted me to wait at a rate. And those are various switches.
Discover I-24 News Radio. Now you can listen to I-24 News anywhere, anytime, for free. I-24 News Radio is the audio-led stream of the television network with world headlines every 30 minutes, starting from 7 a.m. Tune in for top news magazine edition while in the car, in your office. Join us from your smartphone, tablet, or desktop to stay connected in the Middle East and around the world. Don't wait any longer. Head to our website or mobile application and click on I-24 Radio to subscribe. Saints listen to it, smell it, taste it. Experience the Holy Land like never before. Holy Land Uncovered every Sunday only on I-24 News.
Staying with us, a school in France banned a student from class on Wednesday for wearing a kimono. This comes after fallout from France's ban on abayas, a long robe-like garment often worn by some Muslim women. The ban stems from a 2004 law that prohibits wearing outfits showing religious affiliation to the schools, and dozens of girls were sent home earlier this week for not complying with it. Anna Stewart has more on the fallout of the controversial ban.
A daily ritual for some students in France. You can attach it to your bag. That's the rule inside. Put the headscarf in the bag, as teacher tells the student at the school gates. Removing any sign of their Muslim faith before entering the classroom. But as summer vacation ends, France's 2004 law banning conspicuous religious symbols in state-run schools will be applied to loose-fitting, full-length dresses known as abayas for the first time.
The abaya has no place in our schools, and neither do religious symbols.
The free-flowing garments worn by some Muslim women and girls now prohibited in the name of French laïcité or secularism. This policy is a new interpretation of the controversial 2004 law from France's ambitious new education minister. Nearly 300 students wore an abaya to school on Monday. 67 were sent home for refusing to take it off.
They say that the abaya is a religious dress, but it's not at all. It's not a religious dress. It's a traditional dress.
A Muslim rights group has already brought an appeal against the ban to the country's highest court, with their lawyer saying the ban doesn't legally define what an abaya looks like.
C'est un absolute. The ban is not based on any legal text. It's purely a political announcement.
Another lawsuit is being prepared after a student wearing a kimono and jeans was expelled from class. Disproportionate is how one teaching union described the abaya debate, when issues like funding and bullying also need to be addressed. At least one other major union has supported the government's ban. And that division gets to the heart of the secularism debate in France. Laïcité, a principle upheld by many across the political spectrum as France's blind defense against religious discrimination. But critics condemn it as a veiled attack on Muslims in France. Hijabs, bikinis, now abayas, falling under the glare of an unyielding French state. Exactly what Macron asked of his teachers faced the resistant students this month.
We know that there will be cases because we know that there will be some through negligence perhaps, but many to try to defy the Republican system. We must be uncompromising.
France remains an outlier among Western nations, moving into wider acceptance of civil liberties around religious dress. With a hijab embraced elsewhere by Muslim politicians and major brands like Nike. For schools in France, though, a new year means new rules. Anna Stewart, CNN.
Now to Israel and a topic that is close to my heart and makes me curious, actually, contrary to the preceding 2 years during which Israel successfully reduced emissions. 2022 saw a significant uptick as emissions rose by 3.5% compared to the levels recorded in 2021. That's a lot. These statistics widen the gap between Israel and its international pledge to achieve a 27% reduction in greenhouse gases.
Ernie,
Yes.
what page are we on? What daf? What?
Perek Ches, Pasuk.
Perek Chet. Pasuk what?
64.
Pasuk Samech Dalet, 64.
64. Okay. Thank you.
We're almost finished. Let me get to Z.
Overall emissions, those increased by 7%. And there's also power plants. Emissions from power plants also increased by 2%.
Where are you?
Hi, Shavua Tov.
Hi.
So
Shavua Tov.
Shavua Tov.
Today the shir will be till 9:30 because of slichas. So by Yomahu, Hidash HaMelech es toche chotzer. On the day of the Chanukah Mizbeach, Shlomo HaMelech, he sanctified the grounds of the chotzer. Arsho Efnei Beis Hashem. Ki asah sham es haolav es hamincha es chaver shlamim. There were so many korbanos. We talked about 100,000 korbanos. So the Mizbeach was not big enough to accommodate what has to be done to the korbanos.
Hey, David, Ahuva,
Okay. Can you mute them?
I can't. I cannot.
Call him on the
Does
phone.
anybody know his number?
David and Goldstein.
What happened?
He's signed in, but he's there's background noise. They're watching TV.
What pasuk?
Within the coming years, and nobody is talking about anything.
Pasuk.
And we see that Israel is.
Where is it from?
What are we up to? Samach what?
64.
Transportation is one of the big problems.
So the floor of the Beis Hamikdash had to be used in order to process the korbanos. So Shlomo Melech had to sanctify the floor. He Mizbeach HaNechoshes HaShlivnei Hashem, the regular Mizbeach.
We're all standing hours and hours in traffic jams that create a lot.
Hello.
Everybody's addicted to their cars because we don't.
Somebody has a number? I don't have her number.
Saturdays because of
Whose number do you need?
David Goldstein.
Of regulations here, and then power plants and the
I think I
electricity
have the
company
number.
are the biggest polluter, and they're using more and more
I don't know,
solar.
David.
I have a Hoover Goldstein.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Give her a call, tell her to shut up.
I'll try.
Say that in Spanish.
Cállate.
In our languages, the futsek. Yeah.
Oh, it worked. It worked.
Oh, she did it?
No,
Oh, no.
Hi, Hoover, Tasty, how are you?
How many?
Good, how you feeling? Shavua Tov?
just.
Jake 3.
Good. But I'm glad.
Being prepared for climate change and everything we need to
I
do
can't. I don't know why I
to
cannot mute
And they're
them.
the
I can
ones who
ask
mentioned
them to
on
mute.
Reducing the commitment to 27%, they were not
You should
standing on
mute
these
everybody and
numbers
then
either.
be
And
calling
the
them.
actually climate events
I
are
can mute everybody, but then I'm gonna mute Ernie.
which is
Let's
led
try it.
by,
He's muting, he's coming.
She's
climate
coming.
Forum that was established by the president of the country, Herzog.
Okay, Ernie, you have to unmute yourself. Unmute yourself. That's
Okay.
it. Okay.
כי מזבח הנחושת של לפני השם, קטון מאכילת העולה ואת המנחה ונקווה שלומי. The מזבח
Mute.
was too small
Okay, here you go.
to process all of the korbanos.
Want to hear it? Sit down and.
No,
Ahova, you unmuted, unmute, you muted.
did.
You
That's it.
unmuted, unmute, thank you.
All right.
סמ"ה,
Oh, Steve's back.
ויעש שלמה בעת ההיא את החג. So they made sukkahs. וכל ישראל עמו קהל גדול מלבוא חמוד עד נחל מצרים לפני השם אלוקינו, 7 ימים ו7 ימים 14 יום. So there was a 7-day chag prior to sukkahs. According to Radak. Radak says, "Nichkra chag mishum daita smuch l'chag haSukkos." Normally, the holiday of Sukkot is called Chag. The Abarbanel says, "La'achar shechagigu Chanukas Mizbeach." Also, they called it a Chag. Now, it says in Divrei Yomim, "Vayasu bayom hashmini atzeres, yichanukat Mizbeach asu shivat yamim, ve'achag shivat yamim, uvayom esrim u'shlosha lachodesh hashvi." And on the 23rd of Tishrei, which is the day after Shmini Atzeres, Shilach Esam Lo Leim. He sent the people back, Smechim v'Tovei Lev, Ala Tova Asher Asa Hashem Davidu Shlomo v'Yisrael Amo. So it's very clear that there were 7 days of a Yom Tov, followed by Sukkot, followed by Shmini Atzeres. What does it come out? That Yom Kippur that year, they didn't fast. They did a Yom Tov. They were having parties 7 days prior to Sukkot. Yom Kippur was within those days. Says the Radak, "Efshar she'osar yom lo achlu, shari mitzvah lisanos." Maybe on that day they didn't eat. Uvekari sa'ochel bo. Even though it says ki chanukat mizbeach asu shivat yamim v'achag shivat yamim, and every day v'chol yom hayu makrivim zivchei shlamim, and shlamim you have to eat. Says the Radak, "Lo achlum b'osar yom ara laylo makra." So they didn't eat it until Motzei Yom Kippur. Chazal in Moed Katan, Daf Tes Amud Aleph says, "Ki achlu oso Yom Kippurim." They ate that year. Ki bichlal yimei hasimcha. V'zeh hayta hora'at sha'a yedei nevi'im shayu sham. It was a hoirosha that was paskin they were allowed to eat. The real simcha was the first 7 days. And the second simcha was a little less. And this issue of ein ma'arvin simcha b'simcha was only on the first week, which was the ikra simcha. It says in Moy Cotton, Ein noisim noshim b'moyed. We don't marry women in Chol HaMoed. Ki simcha hi lo, and it'll be Marvin simcha b'simcha. Amar v'Amar Shmuel, v'chein Amar Rabbi Elazar. Why don't we marry? L'fishein Marvin simcha b'simcha. Kloimar, says Rashi, be'inan de lisamach b'simcha smoed l'chudei. Each simcha has to have its own celebration of simcha. And Rabbi Baruch Hanan says, "Mipnei shemeiniach simcha saregel." You leave behind the simcha yontif for oisik b'simcha sishto. Aval shar smachos she'enim shalishto she'enim mevatel simcha sachag b'shvilam. You can be ma'ariv. How do you know that the ein marvin simcha b'simcha? From the pasuk vayash shlomo ba'esi esachag esachag. And if there is an issue of Marvin Simcha B'Simcha, they should have waited the 7 days and made the Yontav of Sukkot with the Chanukah Samizbech. No, they needed to do it separate. Shows us the Chanukah Samikdash was like a wedding between a man and a wife. This was the connection we had with Klal Yisrael. Then on Samech Pasuk Samech Vav, Vayom Hashmini Shilach Ha'am. On the 8th day, Hashem said, Shlomo Melech said goodbye. Vayivarchu HaMelech, they gave a bracha to the king. Vayalchu Oleim, they went back to their homes. Smeichim v'tovei leiv. Al kol tova asher asa Hashem David Avdol Yisrael Amo. The Yom Hashmini, we're talking about Shmini Atzeres, 22nd of Tishrei. And at that day, they gave a bracha to the Melech. The next day is when they went home. Chazal say, what does it mean? Vayelchu lo'aleim smeichim v'tov leiv, shemocha lahem alavon Yom Kippurim. That HaKadosh Baruch Hu forgave them that they ate on Yom Kippur that year. V'yatza baskol v'amra kulchem uzumanim l'chai olam haba. That you're all invited to olam haba. And not only that, Al kol ha'tovah asher asa Hashem David Avdo, Klal Yisrael was informed that Kadosh Baruch Hu also forgave David for his sin. Let's read the Gemara in Moed Katan Tes Amud Aleph. Amar Rav Parnach Amar Rav Yochanan Ois Shana Lo Asu Yisros Yom Kippurim. They didn't celebrate Yom Kippur that year. Vayu doagim v'oimrim shem nischayvu sonem shel Yisrael kloya. Maybe we're all going to be destroyed because we ate on Yom Kippur. Yatza baskol v'amar lahem kulchem uzuman l'chayim haba. Mamish, and they made a kal v'chomer. Ma mishkan shein kedusha kedusha oila. The Mishkan was not a permanent place. The Korban Yochid, when the Nesiim brought their korbanos, was considered a private korban. Docha Shabbos, which is skila, which is worse than kares, which is the punishment you get when you eat on Yom Kippur, the Beis HaMikdash, the kedusha soila, which is a kedusha that lasts forever, and the korban sibur, that the korbanos that they were doing was a korban sibur. The Yom Kippur donish kares, lo kol shekain that it should be docha Yom Kippur. So why should they be worried? Because maybe they shouldn't have eaten, but ein simcha b'lo achila v'shtiya. So then we had this pasuk that HaKadosh Baruch Hu forgave them. There's another Gemara there. When Shlomo Melech tried to put the Aron into the Kodesh Kodeshim, Dovku Sharm Zelz, the gates closed. Amar Shlomo Esrim V'Arba Renonos. Shlomo said 24 kapitlach Tilin. V'lo naneh. Then he said, Susharm Roshechev Lo naneh. When he said, Hashem Elokim al tashev pnei meshichecha, Zachar l'chazde David avdecha, but also so miyad naneh, the gates open. All the people who were haters of David, their faces turned black. So Nimsa da Simcha Samach was Mechilas Avon and on Mechilas Avon David. Okay. Rav Schwab says, Vaday lo chatu. They didn't sin because Al Pi Divrei Nevi'im. We said the Nevi'im were there, gave them a Hoyrah Shah that they were allowed to do it. Lefichach lo hutzrechu mechila al chet achila b'Yom Kippur. Aval sof kol sof kiven de lo asu Yom Kippur. They didn't do Yom Kippur the way they normally do. Ayirayim shlo kiblu mechilas avonos. Fine. Maybe they weren't going to get punished for eating, but maybe they didn't have mechilas avonos, and Klai Yisrael felt bad. So that's why they needed the Baskol to tell them that they were all forgiven. Okay. Perek Tes. Perek Tes. We spent 3 or 4 weeks finishing Perek Ches. That was some Perek. Vayi kichalot Shlomo livnot et Beit Hashem et Beit HaMelech. Shlomo now finished building the Beis HaMikdash and his palace. There's kol cheshek Shlomo Sherchavitz, everything he wanted to do. Now, there's a debate among the Rishonim that what do we mean Beis HaMelech? Does that mean his palace? Because we remember on Perek Zayin, we discussed him building his own personal palace. Well, he didn't finish. He first built the Beis HaMikdash for 7 years, and then 13 years he built his palace, like it said in Perek Zayin. Ves beito bana Shlomo 13 shana. And he only started building the Beis HaMikdash in the 4th year of his reign. So it comes out this pasuk is in the 24th year of his reign. 4 years he waited. Then he built the Beis HaMikdash for 7 years, then 13, his palace, 24. It said in Perek Vav, Uvashana Achadesrei, B'Yerech Bul, in the 11th year of his reign, U'achodesh Hashmini Kal Habayis, he finished the Beis HaMikdash. Now, this pasuk that we just read, the first pasuk, is the last pasuk in the Haftorah that we read in Shmini Atzeres. So Rav Yaakov Kamenetsky says, and the Sfardim don't read this pasuk, because the Sfardim hold that from this pasuk on is a new story, doesn't belong to what happened before. But according to the Ashkenazim, this is the concluding pasuk of the Chanukah HaMizbeach. And therefore, now he finished everything, both the Beis HaMikdash and his own bias, and now starts a new story. Pasuk Beis. Vayera Hashem al Shlomo shenit kasher nirah elav b'givon. Hashem has another, Shlomo Melech has another encounter with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. If you remember, when he went to Givon to offer korbanos, he had a Mara Nevuah, B'chalom Alayla. And this is really the 3rd time. In Givon, it says in Perek Gimel, B'Givon nirah Hashem al Shlomo b'chalom alayla. Pasuk Vav, Vayidvar Hashem al Shlomo lemor. And now this 3rd one. So the Malbim says, this Vayidvar Hashem al Shlomo lemor, when he started building, that's Eino Menach Cheshbon. Because it was not a Nevuah Gemura. It says Vayidvar Hashem al Shlomo lemor, which is a lesser madrega, like the Rambam says. that it was not a machzeh in the one in Divrei Hayom. The Radak and the Rambam says, "Vayidvar Hashem el Shlomo lemor, lo haya dibur yasher el Shlomo el hayal yedei Navi." That which was said in Perek Vav, Vayidvar Hashem el Shlomo, was through a Navi. So that's why it's okay when it says here Shlomo Shenis. We had a debate before, was Shlomo a Navi or not. In Rambam and Mor Nevuchim says that he only had Ruach HaKodesh, not Mamish Nevuah. Now the Meshech Chochmah says something interesting. Why did this Nevuah put him at night? He was not Zoichet to Amar in the daytime. Even though all of these, the fire came down during the Chanukah Samizbeach, where there was Zoichet to so many Nisim. Because Hashem is still angry about Bas Paro. Like it says in Yirmiyah, Ki alapiv al chamosi ayisaliyah razos, I was angry liminayom asher banu ota, from the day it was built. Ki nigzar al Yisrael sheyigu al shenosu shlomos Bas Paro. We learned that extensively, that it was already nigzar that Klal Yisrael was going to go to Golus because Shlomo married Bas Paro. So this nevuah that occurs at night is going to tell us that even though we're in Golus, Hashem is going to be with us. So it's actually a nechama. What does Hashem say in Pasuk Gimel? Vayomer Hashem elav, Shamati es tfilascha v'stinascha asher eschananti lef. I heard your tefillah. We went through in detail the tefillah. Shlomo Melech davened for the fact that the Malchus of Beis David should continue. He davened that when Klal Yisrael would be sent into Golus, that they would be listened to. So he says, "Yigdashti sabayis hazeh asher banso, lasum shmi shem ad olam." That this house has been sanctified for me to put my name on it forever. And he ends the pasuk, "Vayu einai v'libi," my eyes and my heart, sham kol hayomim. That the Ruach HaKodesh and Nevuah will be there forever. We see an example of that when Yonah, we're going to learn Maftir Yonah Yom Kippur. How did Yonah get his Nevuah? Amra says the Gemara in Yerushalmi, Sukkah Hey. Amra of Yonah ben Amitai me'olei regolim haya. V'nichnas l'simchas beis ha'shaveva v'sharta alav Ruach HaKodesh. So the Beis HaMikdash was a place of Ruach HaKodesh, and you could be inspired. And it's interesting that even though Shlomo HaMelech davened first that his kingship would last and Malchus Beis David should continue, HaKadosh Baruch Hu answers him first about the Beis HaMikdash, not about that this is the right place to daven. Now, what does this mean? Ad olam, right? Because the pasuk says, "Lasum shmi ad olam," versus kol hayomi. What's the difference? So the Targum Yonasan ben Uziel says, "Shashchina yishre b'makom hazeh la'olam afidu la'achar churban habayis, ve'eino tluya al shum davar." That when it says la'olam, the Shekhinah will be there no matter what. Yet, when it says "Eini v'libi sham kol hayomim," says the Yonasan ben Uziel, "Hainu detoli al tnai shu bnei Yisrael ru'im l'madrega shel zeh." So even though the Hashras Shekhinah will be there forever, during the bias and not the bias, but that madrega of Hayu Einai v'libi sham, which is a higher madrega, that'll only be there bisman habayis, when Klal Yisrael are roy to be there when the Beis HaMikdash is not destroyed. The Malbim learns differently. He says the difference between ad olam and kol hayomim, that kol hayomim refers to specific issues, like when it says in Shmuel Aleph, "Ki chol hayomim asher ben Yishai chai al adamo," or in Divrei Yomim Kol HaYomim Asher Atem Chaim Al Adama. Meaning, Kol HaYomim refers to the period of time the Beis HaMikdash is going to be standing. Then, Eini V'Libi Sham. But putting my name on this place, this will not stop even B'Churbanov. And in Yalkut Shimoni brings a Machlokas Tanoim. Amar Shlomo Bar Nachmani Ad Shlochar Beis HaMikdash Hayta Shechina Netuna Be'echa. While the Beis HaMikdash stood, the Shechina was there. V'Hashem Be'echal Kodsho. But once Mishachar Beis HaMikdash, it says in Tilim Hashem B'Shamayim Kiso, and the Shechina went up to Shamayim. Amar Rabbi Elazar ben Padas Ben Charav Ben Lo Charav Eino Zaz B'Mkomo. Why? V'Hayu Einai V'Libi Sham Kol HaYom. So it's a machlokas in the Gemara whether the Shechina is there after the Beis HaMikdash is destroyed, and we believe that it is. That's why we still daven at the Kotzela Moravi. They bring a raya from Bracha Samech Beis, Ameh Beis. Amar Bibi Amar Yeshua ben Levi. Kol haroikek b'har habayis b'zan hazeh. Whoever spits on Har HaBayis even today, which is talking about the time of Gemara, Ki'ilu rokek b'vas eino. Shenemar vayu einai v'libi sham kol hayomim. It's like you're spitting in Hashem's eyes. Now, this whole concept that the Shekhinah is in one place. What about when we say in Kedusha, Kadosh, 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 Melo kol haaretz kvodo, that Hashem is everywhere. We don't say that when we spit here in Los Angeles, it's like we're spitting in Hashem's eyes. So the answer is, b'makom hamikdash yesh gilui Shechina. There's a revelation of the Shechina. The Sham yachol liros lahargish hashchina al yedei nisim. Shenashu sham tomi. Ulefichach tzarich linok sham bekavod yoser mishar mekomos. Since nisim took place there all the time, there is an inyan that the Shekhinah is everywhere. Like we say, Shivisi Hashem lenegdi tomi, hu klal gadol b'toira, that people have Hashem in front of them all the time. But because that was a place where nisim took place all the time, so it requires a special covenant. So you might say that would only exist when the Beis HaMikdash is there, because then there was nisim gluyim, but after Churban it's not there. So why should it be considered I'm still spitting in Hashem's eyes? Because, like we said, it's historical. Kivan shahaya gilu shchina b'mokom hazeh, v'nisparsen gadol shmo shel HaKadosh Baruch Hu sham, niskadesh hamokom. The place became sanctified. V'aflachar Churban nishar kedusha be'ester. Kivan shadam yesham ashras hashchina afshis nismayit. And this, the Rambam says, Ani oimer b'mikdash v'Yushalayim kedusha rishona kitchel osid lovo, u'v'kedusha shar Eretz Yisrael le'inyan shviyas u'maisrois lo kitchel osid lovo. Lefi shekdushas hamikdash v'Yushalayim v'Hashchina u'shchina eina betela. The Shechina is there and is not bottled. It says in Vayikra, Vashimosias Mikdash Sheikha. I will destroy my Mikdash. Anru Chachamim, Aval Pisha Shoymimim, Bikdusha Son Enoimdim. So in Yerushalayim has a different status as the rest of Eretz Yisrael. Chiyuv Eretz Shviyas U'Maisres was because we conquered it with Yoshua. And then but now it was taken away, that Kibush was nullified. But Migdash, Kedushas HaMikdash, even after Churban, was Machmas the Shechina, and that it remains. That's the Gorim for Kedusha. So if you go up in Har HaBayis with Tumas Meis, Chayiv Kores, even today, the rest of Eretz Yisrael, it's totally on Kibush, and we lost that. But after the Churban, the Kedushas Mamakom remains. Pasuk Dalet. V'atayim telech lefanai Kasher halach David aviv v'tam levav v'yosher lasot k'chol asher tziviticha chukai u'mishpatai tishmor. Hashem says, I will, if you come along with me in the right way, the way your father David did, to do my chukim and my mishpat. This is now the answer to Shlomo's tefillah that he wanted kiyum for his malchus. So Hashem is warning him that also in a way, kiyum beis hamidrash toli al shemiras hachukim v'mishpatim. And it said b'lashon yachid, like everything is dependent on Shlomo HaMelech. This is a warning to him about Bas Paro. Remember, Shlomo did it l'shem shamayim, to bring the goyim closer. He thought it's Mashiach's time. You still have to be Makayim the Chukim and the Mishpatim that you don't understand, even though you're the smartest person. And that he was warning him that there are issues that the fact that he married Bas Paro, he has to amend his ways. So if the right things are done, pasuk hey, Vakimosias kisei mamlach al Yisrael oilam, your malchus will remain. Kasher dibarti al David avicha lemor loy kares l'cha ish mal kisei Yisrael. There will be no other king other from Beis David. However, pasuk vav, im shov teshuvuna temuv noichem achalai. If you leave following my way, v'lo tishmur mitzvosai chukos asher nasat lifnechem, v'alachtem v'vartem Elohim achrim mishtachvis lehem, and you will worship other gods. This is now B'lashon Rabim, because now he's now predicting what's going to happen to Klal Yisrael. Pasuk Zayin v'ichrati et Yisrael ma'apnei adama asher natati lahem. I will destroy Klal Yisrael. V'et habayit asher ikdashti l'shmi, and the bayis asher lach me'al ponai. V'ya Yisrael mashal v'lishnina b'chol hamim. The Jewish people will be ridiculed by the nations. They will be exiled from the land. The Alshich says that this pasuk is a good thing for Klal Yisrael. It's merciful that rather than destroy the people, Hashem will turn His wrath on the stones, the bricks and the stones of the Beis Hamikdash. Otherwise, Klal Yisrael itself would be destroyed. Pasuk Ches. Ve'abayis hazeh yiyeh elyon. We'll have to discuss what that means. This house will be elyon. Kol oiver alav yisham v'sharak. They will whistle and be astonished. Ve'amru al me'asa Hashem kach la'aretz hazos v'labayis hazeh. So the Radak and the Ralbag says elyon, that this house will be Ram Venisa. And the Rashi says, "Ye elyon kozman shlo yechtu." Yes, it will be high as long as they don't sin. Alva mishichatu, if they sin, kol oiver lav yisham. They will be wondered that on such that V'amru, like it says in this week's Parsha Nitzavim, V'amru kol hagoyim al me'asa Hashem kach al haaretz hazos. Such a beautiful building was so destroyed. The goyim will understand that the Churban came because of the sins of Klal Yisrael. Like Rashi says, Af lo oidei kochavim. They will understand it. They will understand that this happened to the Jewish people because of their sins. However, other people, the Chomas Onik, want to say that Abayis Hazeh Yeh Elyon is Lashon Osi. Abayis Hazeh Shaya Elyon in the past, Abayis Hazeh Asher Elyon will again be Elyon, like the famous vort by the end of Masechta Tainis of Rabbi Akiva, when they said Shualim Ilchuvo, when they saw foxes walking around in the destroyed Beis Hamikdash, he understood that the Nevuah in Zechariah, Od Yeshvu Zkenim Uskenos, will also take place. So the Chomes Oinich wants to say this will be a siman of the Beis Hamikdash that will be built in the future. The Ramban says in a letter that he sent from Eretz Yisrael, when we know the Ramban visited Eretz Yisrael, built a shul there. He says, "Umagid lecha b'inyan haaretz, ki rabba zuva v'godol hashim amon." The destruction is massive. Uklal shel davar, he says, "Kol hamakudesh mechaver charav yoser mechaver." That which is holier gets destroyed more. Yerushalayim yoser chareva min hakol. And when you walk around Jerusalem, you see it more destroyed than anything. So you see from the great destruction that occurred, we see how holy the place was in the beginning. Pasuk Tes, V'yamru al asher azvu es Hashem lokechem. The Goyim will say, all of this happened because the Jewish people left their God. Asher otziat avotam eretz Mitzrayim, who took them out of Egypt. Vaychaziku belim achrim, they worshipped other gods. Vayishtachavu lehem vayavdeim. Al kein evi Hashem aleim et kol harazot. It seems to be an exact replicate of the pasuk we learned this morning in Nitzavim. I'll read it. V'amru al asher azvu es bris Hashem lokei avosam, asher karas imam b'otziosam eretz Mitzrayim. V'yalchu v'yavdu elohim achirim v'yishtachu lehem elohim asher lo yidou v'lo lehem. V'yicharaf Hashem ba'aretz ha'hi lavi aleh kol ha'kolak tzuva b'sefer zeh. That's what we learned this morning. Very similar to this pasuk in Melachim. The Malbim says, the Meshech Chochmah as well, Ki ha'uma Yisraelit hi b'atzmuta tachat kanfei hashgacha pratit b'lo shum emtzai. The Jewish people have HaKadosh Baruch Hu watches over them himself, without an agent, not the Kochavim and the Mazalois. So keshechziku be'elohim achirim, when the Jewish people rejected God and worshipped the Baal and the Ashtaroth, mardu b'hashgacha zot, they rebelled in that close connection they had with the Kodesh Baruch. So therefore, Hevi Hashem aleim et kol harazot, ma shelo asa ken l'chol goy, shelo ipilam lios tachas hashgacho. God didn't have this kind of relationship with any other nation. That explains why the Jews fell so far down. Now, this pasuk concludes the answer of Hashem to the Tefillah of Shlomo. It's a little puzzling. Normally, when we conclude something, we don't conclude it with a bad thing. You want to conclude with a positive. So why does this end up so negative? So the Yeh Ayam, again, focuses on the issue that Shlomo married Bas Paro. And even though he did it l'shem shamayim, to try to bring the nations of the world tachas kanfei hashchina, to fulfill what we're going to say tonight in Slichas, ki veisi beis tefillah yikareh l'chol amim. And he thought it was Zman HaMashiach, and he wanted to hasten it. So Hashem is giving him multiple hints that what he did is not good, and he violated an Isser Torah. And this warning occurs that the fact that Hashem ends this without a positive, with a negative, So this is already a problem now, he's telling Shlomo. And it will lead to Tsaras Rabbos. Okay. I'm just going to conclude one more pasuk. Pasuk Yud Vayimik Tzesrim Shana. We did the calculation, 20 years, right? 7 and 13. Asher Bana Shlomo et Shnei Batim et Beit Hashem et Beit HaMelech. 7 for the Beis Hamikdash, 13 for his palace. Now, the rest of this parak is going to deal with his friend Melachira, who helped him build the Beis Hamikdash. And this is a good spot to stop. And as for questions and comments, so next week we don't lane next week we will not have a shir. It's Rosh Hashanah. We will have a shir the following Shabbos Shuvah. I would also think we could do it Shabbos. We might be able to do it at 8:30 because the Shabbos is already going to earlier, maybe 7:45. So we'll do it. We'll be in touch with Mario and the WhatsApp group. I wish everybody good slichas, good davening, and a ksiva v'chsima toiva, and a good year for everybody and their family.
Ksiva v'chsima toiva, everybody. Should be a good convention.
Everybody, good.